No, it hasn't. Oh my gosh. I have um, basically like that bag balm all over my legs because the cat is attacking me. I'm a bad kitten. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Old Mom Sunday Night. I had a prequel Old Mom Sunday Night on Facebook as I'm trying to get more people over on the YouTube. Adrian Wood, Eastern North Carolina. Um, and there you have it. So I said, Old Mom Sunday Night is usually kind of fun and silly, and and this is sort of fun and silly to me. Now it might not be to some of you. So if you struggle with free speech and criticism, this might not be the video for you. Prepare yourself. And let me just say, I hate when people are like, well, I'm going to say this, and if you don't like it, go away. I'm like, you can't do that. You've put it out there. But today, President Trump made this big announcement that tomorrow he is announcing something about autism. And according to the Wall Street Journal and Fox News and the BBC, it is going to be about how autism is linked to Tylenol. And I thought, we heard this was coming out a few weeks ago, right? But we didn't know if it was. So when Trump first said, I have a big announcement about autism, I was like, oh my gosh, he's going to announce that he's autistic. And people are like, yeah, that's mean. I'm like, it's a joke. It's funny. Ha ha ha. It's not funny. I'm like, of course it's not. But if I said Biden was autistic, you'd be dying laughing. I mean, it's so predictable that people are so sensitive. Bleh. Like Churchill said, it's all fun and games to have free speech until, wait, what did Churchill say? There's a direct quote. Churchill, free speech. I'm gonna look it up right now because I don't mess it up. Churchill, free speech quote. Okay. Churchill says, everyone is in favor of free speech. Hardly a day passes without its being extolled. But some people's idea of it is that they are free to say what they like, but if anyone else says anything back, that is an outrage. He viewed true freedom of speech as requiring reciprocity and the acceptance of a counter-argument, and the intolerance of response as a sign of fear rather than a love of liberty. I really like that explanation. And so when I hear, oh, we're going to hear that Tylenol and autism are linked, my first thought was, are they? What data is out there? So there's one woman who thinks that it might be linked. Her name is Dr. Masa Tarani. And I can't quite figure out, she says that there's a possible link, but the issue is far from settled. So I was like, well, what studies have been done? In JAMA, the Journal of American Medical Association, is kind of the preeminent research when it comes to anything. And I have a PhD in educational research. So I understand statistics, which is shocking because I never broke 1,000 on the SAT. So this was a huge study, and it was done in 2024. And what they did was they took 2,480,000 children, 2,480,797 children. Okay, so 2.5 million children born between 1995 and 2019. And then they followed up on 2021. They looked at the children based on the parents, 185,000, 7.5% were exposed to acetaminophen during pregnancy. Okay, so 7.5%. The amount of those not exposed versus exposed was 1.33 versus 1.53. So that, and then 0.70, 0.82 for intellectual disability, and then 2.4 to 2.8 for ADHD. But it has to be statistically significant. So it absolutely was not statistically significant. And so what it suggests is that there might be more research that is just done from families reporting, like, oh, I took a lot of Tylenol when I was pregnant. And so not did people actually take Tylenol. So yes, Tina, they did do a survey on parents, and it was a smaller study. It was in 2021, and they asked parents, did they take it? And it said, neurodevelopmental disorders are highly heritable, and those who used acetaminophen also reported higher prevalence of multiple health conditions. So then you have to wonder, were they taking the Tylenol for something else? So that's a big study. 2.5 million children is a huge study. And it clearly said there's no link. So I guess for me, because I'm going to use my brain, if some announcement comes out tomorrow that Tylenol and autism are linked, I'm going to tell you that's not true, because the science says it's not true. Not because I'm a liberal or a Republican or a Democrat or whatever. I just tell you what the science says. Now, when this woman, the one woman, she's a rheumatologist, which is not a researcher, who is saying that there's a possible risk, she says, well, it's far from settled. But it's really interesting. She can't really come up with any reason why she thinks it is. It's like trying to find something nice to say about her. But there's not. Yeah.
What anthem should I watch on Volcanon on Monday? What anthem?
The national anthem.
What country?
Korea.
North Korea.
North Korea. Why is she saying it? I don't know. So we're going to find out tomorrow. But just as everybody's listening to this big announcement tomorrow, I want you to have a little experience and knowledge under your belt. So when you hear what's said, you can say, well, what about the study of the 2.5 million children? Why did that not show a difference? And that's more important. But here's what I would say that is not data driven. This is me observing driven. So this is not, a fact to claim. But I get asked all the time. I mean, my dad says this. Well, why is there more autism now? This is like a question that is as old as time in the last 10 years. And yes, I will be chatting tomorrow about the results. That's right. And I said, Dad, the diagnosis used to be like this, and now the diagnosis is like this. So in here, you might have Asperger's, you might have severe ADD. So autism has become this big umbrella. So that's one part. But the other part is this giant tent of services always loves autism. So if you're in a tent and you're under an umbrella and you want to get the most coverage, where are you going to go? You're going to go to the tent, right? The tent is autism. So there are people here that have Down syndrome. Maybe they have a genesis of the corpus callosum. Maybe they have just intellectual disability, all sorts of things. And they move to the autism part of the tent because that's the best part. So when you have autism, you get really good services. So I have friends who are like, yeah, he has Down syndrome, but we always list autism first, right? So you have to imagine 20 years ago, if you had Down syndrome, that's what you had. You didn't have anything else. You Nobody looked for something else. So that's a really, there's no research about that I know of. But I do know as a parent and knowing other parents that that's pretty common. So you might have children that can't walk or feed themselves that are also autistic. And you might argue like, oh, it seems like they have some other big things going on, but autism is what is the diagnosis that is first on their list. Let me get some water. Amos, you have 15 minutes. Sorry, I'm on a tight bedtime point. So I think that's important to know. The other thing we know, and this is data driven, is that if you have a child with autism, you're 1 in 10 that you'll have another child with autism. And so what the data is really telling us is that currently they think autism is about 32% of the time genetic. And as the mother of a child with autism who also has a rare genetic disorder, that makes sense to me because I have a son who has a genetic difference. And I was on a medication when I was pregnant with him. And I had done chemotherapy years before. The doctor told me at the time, before I started chemo, if you want more kids, you need to freeze your eggs. And I had 3 children, so I didn't freeze my eggs. And I know enough to know, nothing bugs me more than people that are like, we had a baby. I mean, give me a freaking break. There's no, unless you have no uterus, it's not a surprise. So I was on the pill, even though they said that, because I know enough to know people are wrong. And got pregnant on the pill and on this medication that was not advised during pregnancy. So I've always, wondered that medication was a problem. Somebody said on the death certificate they put COVID. My sister had Alzheimer's and died in a nursing home from that. I think that was pretty common for a while. My father-in-law just died of, well, cancer, but they listed another cancer. I don't know. I don't know how they decide to do that. Yeah, no, this isn't about being like a Trump hater to me. I just think that we have to follow science and data because it's truth and fact. It's like getting on a scale. If you get on a scale and it says Adrian weighs 141, Adrian weighs 141. Even though Adrian thinks she looks like she weighs 120, she does not, you know? You can't just make up something and wish it would be true. And I do not think Robert Kennedy should be head of the CDC. I mean, you cannot tell me, and I'm not saying he's not smart, he's not an amazing lawyer. My husband is smart and an amazing lawyer. You do not want my husband to be head of the CDC. I shouldn't be head of the CDC. This is not personal or political. I wouldn't, if Biden put Robert Kennedy in there as head of the CDC, I would be complaining. I am just focused on what is logical. And in 2023, when Robert Kennedy was running for, presidency, I think this is when Trump said, okay, if you stop running, I'll let you be head of the CDC. He said autism is caused by vaccines. So he's moved away from that, which I guess is good because we know that's also not true. And it's just not true. It's not true. He he also thinks that fluoride in water is not good. It's a naturally occurring mineral recognized to help protect teeth against decay. 63% of the population has fluoridated water in United States. And he said, I'm going to tell, Trump that we need to remove all the fluoride from public water. He said fluoride's related to arthritis, bone fractures, bone cancer, IQ loss, neurodevelopmental disorders, and thyroid disease. But there have been huge studies that have never shown this. You can't just say something. Now, one thing Kennedy said that I do think he's right on with this. Now, I don't know what the data says, but I do think it's smart. Ultra-processed food is driving the obesity epidemic. I mean, yes. Improving the diet, reducing body weight will reduce the number of people who develop conditions like diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and certain cancers. The role of food processing in a healthy diet is not known. So they still don't know. Yes. The Lamborghini. The other thing they're going to be talking about. Okay. The other thing they're going to be talking about tomorrow is this drug called leucovorin, and it's a drug for cancer patients that they think is promising for autism treatment. And the benefit of this kind of off-label prescription drug is it has been studied for years, though never in children. And they think that it helps children get this ability to speak. It's a prescription vitamin that functions similarly to folic acid. And it helps to restore folate in patients who might have difficulty absorbing it, like if they're doing methotrexate or something. So, again, it's the special form of B9, leucovorin. It's water soluble. It doesn't build up in your body. And parents think it might work. Then let's study it. Let's do the studies. I'm all for it. And we want our country healthy. We want people healthy. But I think we also, you can't just say, Amos, come here.
I need more.
I've got some right here.
I count of more.
I have one right here, look.
What is it made of?
Come here. Come here. You sit right here with Mommy.
What is it made of?
What's what made of?
Water.
This is a big old... Who has a birthday coming up?
Me.
How old are you going to be on your birthday?
12.
What do you want?
What vehicle do I need when I'm 12?
A Lamborghini.
A Lamborghini is when I'm not gonna be 16. Great.
What do you want for your birthday present?
A Lamborghini?
And there you have it, folks. We're starting a GoFundMe for Amos's Lamborghini.
A gift for me.
A gift. A gift for him. Okay, you have about 5 more minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Keep that water freezing.
I would put the water in the freezer, yeah. He has autism, and I would argue with you that autism is what makes Amos interesting. It's not a bad thing. Anxiety is what makes our life hard. ADHD makes learning hard. But the autism is
Hey, Mommy.
interesting. Yes. Come here. go
No,
tell you.
that was in the night open on Thursday. You're gonna fly with big flames and with honor.
Okay, let me tell you a secret. Let me tell you a secret. Oh my golly. You know what my secret is?
You tell me.
My secret is. I don't love you.
Uh-oh, watch out what
I
it
tricked
was
you.
eating with flames.
Okay, you have 4 minutes now.
Okay, watch out what flames. Dot. Dot, too.
No, it's not the end of the world. You know, it's not the end of the world. Does Amos know he has autism? Yeah, he does. But I mean, he doesn't, he's not like a child who knows or is embarrassed or whatever. How much does Amos weigh? I would never ask somebody how much they weigh. Like, to me, that's like saying, do you have sex in the morning? I mean, that's like a very personal question. What do I know? And I don't know how much he weighs. I don't put him on a scale. I know he's about my height. And he weighs less than me. And I weigh 140. So there's that. You know your kid's weight. Well, Jan, you're better than Adrian. I don't know what any of my children weigh. 19, 17, and 16. I think that weight is such a, it's just not something we talk about in our family. I generally don't talk about appearance at all. Like, you're short, you're tall, you're fat, you're thin, you're this. I say things like, you're really strong, you're a compliment. He probably was too thin. Well, thank you, Anne. But I just don't talk about people's bodies. And that's a whole nother video. But I mean, I've lost 40 pounds this year, and we're gonna have a little talk about that, because people, their minds are blown. And when I see people, they're like, you're thin. What have you done? You're thin, you're thin, you're thin. And it's like, wow, that's the whole focus. Like, my focus was not to get thin. Like, my knees were hurting. And I was concerned that my heart was under stress. And I wanted to be able to exercise and play on the beach or hop in the boat. And that's why I wanted to lose weight, you know? My mother did such a good job not talking about weight. It was really incredible, and I have really tried to do that with my own children. I was with my daughter this weekend, and you know, we went clothes shopping, and I was like, wow, you know, never said anything. She said, at one point she said, you know, my pants are they're really tight at the top of my legs. And I said, honey, you have very muscular legs. Like, you are strong. You play sports, and like, you are muscular. You know, I have chicken legs, like DB and like his mother. You are thankful you didn't get my chicken legs. You're strong. Not, well, your thighs are heavy, you know. And boy, I'm thankful that my mother did a good job. I would probably leave it when people, players. Yeah, you know, it's just, life is too short to do that. But I think, particularly with the older women, it's really common to comment on what you look like, you know, and not like, well, you look good, but boy, you've lost a lot of weight. Just this constant discussion. Do y'all find that? I'm 53 and my mother has to mention my weight every time she sees me. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Kezia. Yeah, that's just not, I just really, really don't like that. In fact, I took one of the children to the doctor one time, and the same doctor, I was worried about Amos at the time. They were like, oh, he's fine, he's fine. And then I took Russell in at the time, and Russell was at a chubby stage. He was maybe 12 or something. And the doctor, like, we hadn't been in there 3 minutes, and he was like, he's really gained weight. And, what are you doing for exercise? And I was like, I said, Russell, will you go out and get something out of the car for me? And I was like, let me tell you something. You are not going to talk about his body like that in front of him or at all. Like, how dare you? I have worked so hard to never, ever make my children feel any certain way, like bodies aren't good or bad. They're bodies. I was hot. And I said, and the other thing is, when I was concerned about Amos, you told me it's no big deal. Well, it's a big deal. Amos is a problem. Russell being chubby is not. Saying it for health reasons. No, I disagree, Robin. There is nobody learns in medical school to question children about their weight because it's for health reasons. There is a way to speak to people, particularly children and adults. There's a way to speak with them and get information across. You can't just be an asshole and say it's for health reasons. Seeing some of these comments of women whose moms put such an emphasis on their weight. Yeah, I'd be curious to know how many people. Oh, can I do a poll? I wonder if that works. Let me do this poll. Start a poll. Did your family talk about body size when you were growing? Did your family talk about body size? Oh, I'm about to run out of room. Growing up. Okay. Done. Let me put it up here. I'm very curious about that. Oh, now I can't see oh yes, I can see the comments. Yeah, it's just so. Yeah, mine did not. I'm gonna hit no. Okay, done. Well, no one's voting. Anyway. I think you get those comments, Adrian, because several years you made comments about weight and different things. Well, about myself, I think if people want to talk about, now I've started the poll. I didn't know how to do it. If somebody wants to talk about their own body, then have at it. But I had a cousin that said, we just never talk about bodies being good or bad. And I really like that. Look, 160 votes. It's fairly split. And if you had somebody that was positive, I'd love to know the positive thing. And if you had something negative that you feel like now has sat with you, I'd love to hear what that was too. So my grandmother, my dad's mom, used to talk about, my uncle was a pretty sturdy fellow growing up, and my dad was really scrawny, skinny. And my grandmother wouldn't put butter on my uncle's bread, my dad's brother's bread. And it really affected him. He remembered that, and I think that really created some overeating later on, you know? Like, I don't deserve that. My dad made an issue about snacking when I was a chubby third grader. Also made comments about other people's weight. Yeah. We never had a scale in the house. Yeah, um, my dad used to say we would have to go to Omar the tent maker for my clothes. Oh gosh. I am never good enough. That's how I was made to feel. All about weight. Yeah, my dad said the only regret I ever had was that I worried about Adam's weight. It wasn't that he talked he talked to Adam about his weight. My older brother was really chubby too, and then was like 6'4", 180 pounds. But my dad said I wasted a lot of time worrying about his weight. I wish I hadn't done that. Just it was such a waste of time. The more they talked about weight, the more I hid and snuck food, comparing me to my sisters. Yeah, I just think so. One thing that's important now, I mean, years ago, my husband said to my oldest son, who was about probably 9 at the time, and it was not, he was teasing, but he said, if you keep eating those French fries, you're gonna get fat. Like, and I think this is probably the kind of stuff he heard growing up a little bit. And my one son did not eat French fries for 2 years. He probably doesn't even remember it. And I said to my husband at the time, like, you cannot say things like that. Like, this is big stuff. And he was like, gosh, I had no idea. Did your family talk about body size growing up? Yes, 47%. No, 53%. So more people watching did not. More people talked about it than not. Yeah, and maybe you didn't say you're fat, but maybe it'd be like, well, the thin one, like, you give them a little more ice cream, or, oh, why don't you have a piece of fruit, or things like that. Watch my mom struggle with bulimia, and then my best friend ended up in hospital. It's hard to watch. Ended up with an eating disorder. Yeah, I mean, I tell you what, an eating disorder it's a long life. I was made fun of and never forgotten. Sears Chubby Shop Girls. Commented on kids all the time. My daughter's friend's mom locked up the food. Ugh. We had to finish everything on our plate. My mom always commented on other people's weight. Yeah, I have noticed in the last year, losing weight, that it tends to be the older folks that are more like, you've lost weight. Where my friends that are more my age, I got a message tonight from a very good friend, and she was like, okay, I have got to do something. You look great. Can you tell me what you're doing? And I was like, yeah, I'm doing Zepbound. People tell me how good I look. What did they think before I lost it? I don't mind that as much. And I want to talk about it because I want people to get help that need help. I'm so thankful that I was able to get help. It's life-changing. I mean, it's life-changing. If you are watching this video and liking this video, double click to watch. But yeah, tomorrow morning, if you are a paid member, YouTube member, Facebook subscriber, we will be having a coffee chat with Nurse Gina tomorrow, and we're going to continue this conversation. And then, yeah, because I think it's important. And tomorrow night, we will be talking right here about the big announcement. And maybe Tuesday night will be Tuesday Tales weight loss tales, or just, I don't even like the term weight loss. I still have this tire right here, which I can't seem to get rid of, but I'm going to start exercising. And people are like, oh, I'm like, my knees were hurting. And like, I went skiing and thought I was not going to make it. There's a big announcement tomorrow about autism, evidently. Weight management. Or the miracle of Zetbound. I mean, a full purity miracle. Yeah. So, anyway. But, okay, bedtime. Thank y'all for being here and listening and talking. People make fun of me because of my autism, Adrian said, Jabbar. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Jabbar. I'm glad you're here. I know it's not easy to have autism. I'm glad you're here. This is a good spot, and I want people to feel like they can talk and share things and hopefully learn from each other, Members, subscribers, see you tomorrow morning, 9-ish, with Nurse Gina. Okay? Goodbye.